All right, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. If it is your first time listening to the show, my name is Ian. Thank you for tuning in today. I will do my best to deliver you some value. In this show, we talk all things real estate. The primary focus so far has been home buying, and we are going to talk about that today. But we're also going to be talking about a topic that's essential and no matter where you're at in your life. And what we're going to be talking about is the idea of vision. The reason I want to talk about this idea is because it's something that I feel like people my age, people who are a little bit younger and people who are a little bit older, lack a lot of the times. It's a struggle for people to find clarity with what they want their life to look like. And I noticed this when I was talking with people who were considering buying a home. Now, the reasons that people don't buy a home are pretty common. They're pretty standard. A lot of people are saying the same things. Perhaps the most obvious reason that people are not considering buying their first home or are just flat out not able to is for financial reasons. They have a hard time wanting to get into a mortgage with the higher interest rates. Two, they don't have the means to afford a house. Whether it's the monthly payment or just looking at the overall price, they know that they can't afford it. That's a common problem. The second reason that I notice people are hesitant to buy a house is largely educational. They're just not really sure where to begin. It's a big process, obviously. There's a lot of thought to give, and they're not sure where to start. So that's another common problem. But one that I'm seeing more often, one that I did not initially suspect, and one that I decided I feel I should address is largely personal. And it has to do with this idea of vision. People are not sure what they want their life to look like. They're not really sure about their lifestyle. They're not really sure about their career, and they're not really sure about their relationships. And I think all of that plays into vision, whether you're buying a home or just traversing through everyday life. It is essential to consider. It's something that I've tried to give as much thought as I possibly can. My own personal vision, I try to think of it often. It's a topic that I love to talk about. I would love to do some motivational speaking or some personal development coaching, whatever you want to call it. And I've already decided that this would be my primary area of focus. So we're going to be talking about vision today. So let's dive into it. What's the problem if you don't have a clear vision? Well, to understand this a little more, we need to define vision. Here is how I personally define it. So my definition of vision is this. Your vision is a single coherent image of what you want your life to look like. It includes your values, your ideals, and your goals. It's what matters to you the most. So, how does this differ from goals? Well, I think of it like a pyramid. At the pinnacle is your vision. Right below that is your goals. Now, your goals make up your vision, but your vision is what gives your goals meaning. So, hopefully that makes sense. That's how I interpret it. Now, what's below goals at the bottom of the pyramid? It's ideas. People have tons and tons of ideas of what they could do, what they could be. The problem is, a lot of the times people get caught in the web of ideas. Like there's so many different directions to go, so many different possibilities that they don't actually take a step. They don't just act on one idea, they don't turn it into a goal. Instead, they remain hesitant. They stay stuck where they're at. And I think this is what I've noticed with home buying. People are so unsure. They have ideas of what they want their life to look like. They have ideas about their relationship. They have ideas about their lifestyle, but they've not nailed anything down. And because of that, they're hesitant to buy a home. So, what is my point with this episode? I'm not trying to convince anybody to buy a home right now. That's not my goal. There's going to be a time and a place for you, right? Buying a home is a valuable decision. It makes sense. It has so many benefits. I'm not trying to convince you to buy a home today. What I'm trying to do is this. I want to try to ask you questions so that you can gain some clarity so that when the time comes to buy a home, you don't feel hesitant. You've thought through some ideas, you've composed your vision, and you're able to take that step with confidence when the time comes. This subject of vision is relevant for any aspect of your life. And to prove that, I'll incorporate my own examples, my own vision into this podcast. So Grab your cup of coffee. Let's get started. I'm going to be asking questions based off of 3 different subject areas, and I already hinted at them. But the first one is lifestyle. So when you're considering your vision, you have to consider this first. What matters most to you? What is most important? At the end of the day, if you get to the end of your life and this is all you have, what is it? Right? Think about if I could only have a couple of things, if I only did this, or if I only lived this way, this is what I had, then think about that. What is that thing, or what are those things? So for me, pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. I want to be a good friend, I want to be a good father, and I want to be a good husband. There's really not a whole lot more that I genuinely care about more than that. So to encapsulate that all in one sentence, for me, it means to be a man of God. It could mean anything to you, but that's what it means to me. Now, once you have this idea, you've thought through your values a little bit, think about what that looks like in everyday life. Like, how does that manifest itself? For me, that means raising my kids and living with my family in a nice neighborhood where they're able to go to a nice school and have all the amazing opportunities that I had growing up. Another goal I have that's associated with my vision, I'm sure I've talked about it before, but I want to buy a cottage up north. I want to have a little cabin that me and my family can go to on the weekends. I want to have a place that I can spend time with my loved ones, with time with the people that I care about the most. So those are the 2 questions you can ask yourself for your lifestyle, right? What matters most to me, and what does that look like on an everyday basis? Now let's jump to your career. Think about this. Does my current career path align with my overall vision? So once you have thought through the lifestyle, you'll have an idea of what you want your life to look like. And I should say this before going any further. This is not something that happens overnight. This is not something that just magically pops into your head and you feel set on. It's something that takes significant amount of time, and it evolves over time. It will change. Uh, so don't feel like you're doing something wrong, or don't be afraid if all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, no, I think this is better. This is the better route to go. That's completely okay. You don't need to fret about that. But to get back to the subject, career, think about this. Does my current career path align with my overall vision? Let's say your vision, like mine, has to do with buying a home. Well, my career ultimately is going to help me actualize that goal. It's going to help me achieve that goal of buying a home where I can raise my family, right? So obviously, I need to be in a career where I make an adequate enough amount of money to be able to achieve that goal. Consider that. The next question that you can ask yourself after doing this is, what does my career trajectory look like? Are there going to be promotion opportunities? If so, is that something that's going to happen in the next year or two, or is it 10 years down the road? Right? Because that will drastically change whether or not you're going to consider buying a house. If it's 10 years down the road, then maybe you can go ahead and buy a house. If it's 1 to 2 years from now, maybe you don't give that, you pass on that opportunity from now. You think, okay, no, it's better to save money, better to rent, better to live at home. Whatever, when we go to the next place, when I get promoted and I move, then I'll buy a home there. So again, for the career, these are a couple questions I would ask. Does my current career path align with my overall vision? And what does my career trajectory look like? Now, the last question has to do with relationships. This is probably the most important part, if you ask me. So for relationships, do our visions align with one another? So if you're with somebody and you plan on living with them together, whether that's renting or buying, you need to think about this. If you're going to be with this person for a long period of time, if that's your goal, then you need to probably think if this is what I want in life and this is what they want in life, is it going to be able to work together? To me, I think that's an important question to ask. I wasn't trying to give relationship advice, and again, I'm only 24, but these are things that I've tried to think through. Riley and I have had conversations, and in pretty much every way, they work together. They coincide. They're very similar, if not the exact same thing in many areas. After going over that question, think about this. What are some of the best steps that we can take to put ourselves in the best possible position moving forward? So let's say your vision does align and you want to buy a house with that person. Okay, well, what can we do now, right? We no longer have ideas. we've got some goals, and we're starting to figure out our vision. How can we begin to work towards that together? Another great question to ask. So that's all I really have in terms of the questions. So this is what I wanted to get to. If you find yourself hesitant about taking the jump into home ownership, take some serious time to reflect on these questions. And there are plenty of more questions to think about. I think once you start asking yourself questions, then more and more and more are going to pop up. There are books that you can read that will offer more questions. There are people you can talk to that will provide you with more questions. I think no matter what you're going to do in life, whether you're going to buy a home, just move forward or make some other huge decision, you need to consider this. You need to consider if this is what I want to do because it aligns with who I want to be. So that's all I really wanted to talk about in this episode. I think that was a lot to try and jam into a short episode. This is something that I would love to talk about, like a 45-minute podcast, and I do plan on doing that in the future, not necessarily for real estate, but just for other reasons. So maybe we'll see that in the future. But yeah, people are hesitant to buy homes for personal reasons, for reasons related to their vision. So anytime that you can think about this beforehand will be beneficial to you. Again, maybe it's not today, maybe it's not tomorrow, maybe you're trying to buy a home years down the road, but at some point you're still going to have to think through these questions. So the sooner the better, in my humble opinion. But that's all I've got. I want to thank you for tuning into this episode. If you're interested in taking the leap into home ownership, you feel like you've thought through these things, go ahead and give me a call. You can click on my link tree and find my email. You can find my text. It's all on my Instagram and Facebook. Give me a call, shoot me a text, however you want to do it. Let's begin that conversation. Other than that, take care, God bless, and have a great day.